Okay, so today we are going to talk about DHCP. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So imagine this scenario. You're working in an IT department and you've just been told that all of the PCs need new IP addresses, which means you're going to have to go to, let's say, 150 PCs and manually go into the control panels, go into Network and Sharing Center and give them a new IP address, subnet mask, a new default gateway, and then confirm that the DNS server has been specified correctly. Now you're probably not going to want to do that 150 times. That task is going to get pretty boring and you probably could make some mistakes along the way as well. So the great thing is DHCP allows us to automate that task. Let's take a look at the DHCP benefits, right? So we already know that it's the dynamic assignment of IP addresses instead of us manually assigning them. And of course, it's desirable just because it saves us work, right? But the IP addresses are assigned on demand. So as PCs are booted, they just request an IP address when they need one. Or when someone brings a mobile device into our company, they can request an IP address to get onto our network. So it happens on an on-demand situation. Obviously, avoiding manual configuration is huge. We don't want to be doing that. And then it not only just gives them the IP address, but DHCP will also deliver the IP address, the subnet mask, the default gateway, as well as the DNS server information. So one thing that can help us is our good friend Dora. So some of you may know and recognize her, Dora the Explorer. And you probably thought she was just able to help little kids learn new things and concepts, but she's actually pretty good at learning, helping us learn DHCP. And if you realize she's even got her DHCP t-shirt on today for us. So how that's going to happen is that we are going to use her name, Dora, to understand the DHCP message types, D-O-R-A. So the first is the discover. So remember the PC has to turn on, so the PC is booted, and it broadcasts a DHCP discover request, all right? So it's actually, there's a discover message that goes out saying, hey, I would like an IP address. So that is initiated, DHCP is initiated by the client. So there's a broadcast by the client. All right, so that's step number one. Then comes the O, the offer. So that's when the server actually says, hey, I do have an IP address for you, and basically says, I could give you, such and such an IP address. Would you like that? So it doesn't really deliver the IP address, it just delivers an offer. So the server responds. Then the request. So the PC then actually requests within that DHCP request message, the PC or the client accepts or declines that offer, and then the server comes back with the acknowledgement. Okay, so it's almost like a four-way handshake. That acknowledgement is from the server that contains the actual parameters for that PC's configuration. So Dora, remember Dora, and you'll always remember the order in which DHCP occurs. So let's take a look at this example. We've got our router right here. All right, so here's building one router. And then we've got multiple switches, multiple host clients out there, both PCs and printers, right? We've got 3 printers, 1 on each floor. So as we take a look at this, let's say that this is our IP address here. So we're going to have like 192.168.50.0, and we'll just start with a simple /24 network, right? So we've got a perfect Class C. That's all of the IP addresses that we can use for this network. So let's go here down here. So we're going to actually give the router 192.168.50.254. We'll give the router on interface FOO the last usable, right? 254 is the last usable or the last valid host IP in that range. So we're going to give that to the interface on the router. And then we also can take a look at these printers. Now printers, they are special types of hosts. They actually work much better and sometimes are required to have a static IP. So in this case, we're going to give this one, we'll give this one .1. We'll give this .2, and we'll give this printer .3. All right, so those are all going to be my printer IP addresses. But all of these clients out here, all of these clients, those PCs, are actually going to request an IP address, in this case from the DHCP router. Okay, so they're all, when they turn on, they're going to make their request here. So remember the order, the DORA, the DORA. So they're going to send a discover message, then the router will offer, and then there's going to be a request to accept that offer, and then the acknowledgement comes with the actual configuration. So that goes back and forth until that is all the IPs have been delivered to the requesting hosts. All right, what we're going to do next is we're going to go into Packet Tracer, and we're going to actually see the commands to configure the commands where we can actually see what's happening.